they chose the alternative, which is pretty much what most kids do. Good luck with your children, Demi, because I know you have them. So
she will continue to control his movements and his choices. And so the way she handles this is by almost trying to regain that control.
Families are made up of individuals that have flaws, traumas, and histories, and different personalities. So I believe in healthy families, but just not perfect families.
I mean, we're human beings, and it's a very normal emotion to feel. So
I do not believe in perfect families. I believe in the ability to have great families if everyone, I guess, involved in the relationship of creating that family puts in the work. Because, yeah, as humans, we're not perfect, so we're definitely not going to have a perfect anything. Nothing is going to be perfect.
what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Loved Out AF, a spin-off of the movie that I star in as Ruva. My name is Bahumi and Mhlongo, and I'm joined with the ever so lovely, the ever so legendary, the person who plays my ever so not so loving mother-in-law, Tumi Morake. Let's give a round of applause. Mandala. I'm super excited because today's topic is about the pivot, time to pivot, which is a huge theme in the movie. So it's really, really dope to get to unpack that with you guys. But without further ado, I think you guys should probably get a snippet of what I'm talking about. So have a look at the trailer.
Greetings, sister. Your mother has been taken. You want our money, what we to offer, or else she's dead.
I can't pay up front, but when I win the competition...
You need money.
I need people to take me seriously. How much were you thinking of investing in my business? 5 million should do it.
Do you have what it takes to book big-ticket clients?
When I win the business competition? No. I won't.
I'm not eating this.
This is the food of your ancestors.
Rest in peace, Bob Marley.
He's not your ancestor.
Well, his energy is.
I'll sign whatever you want.
Time is running out.
It's wild. I'm genuinely laughing. Like, even as I was watching the trailer, like I was genuinely laughing. I was finding so many parts like really, really funny, which is really cool to see. So I hope that people get to experience that as well. I really can't wait for people to get to experience you, Dumi. Like, to get to experience our relationship, but to really get to experience, for them to be able to see your sass and your true colors. You know?
I'm so much nicer than my D, though.
You were like such a pleasure to work with. Like, to just be around, even work with sounds very weird. In the spirit of loved out and the theme of the movie, Mr. Dumi, what does being loved out mean to you?
Sheesh.
a case of unrequited love, or a one-sided friendship, or even a parent-child dynamic where, and I'm not a parent, you know, so this is just something based off of observation, but parents don't have any days off.
I think loved out to me means when your love is stretched, when it's so easy to say I love you and I love you unconditionally until moments with conditions come up, and then you really have to decide, do I really love you like that? So loved out is that exhaustion where you're like, oh my gosh, is my love no longer enough? Is my love gonna fix this? Let's just get into today. I mean, we're going to talk about change, how it shows up in life and relationships, especially in family.
So this one's actually a big one, right? So in the movie, I need to keep trying not to give out like too much context, but essentially you had one way, your son had one job, okay, to go a particular way, to marry a particular woman, to be a particular person in life, just one job. And you seem so right, you know, standards high, levels high. Posh school, you know what I mean? Hoping that in this posh school they'll find a posh significant other, and then they go ahead and fall in love with the exact opposite of what you saw happening. You know, being Ruva Rosape, who has quite the controversial life, quite the controversial parent, and pretty much they chose the alternative, which is pretty much what most kids do. Good luck with your children, Demi, because I know you have them. So I guess what I want to know, how did my D handle the choices that David made?
I feel like my D's dreams for her son were that she will continue to control his movements and his choices. And so the way she handles this is by almost trying to regain that control. Like, you picked the wrong wife, but I'm going to control what happens in here so that you can rejig yourself and come back. So it's almost like she's in denial because she knows her son is in love with this girl. But she's also feeling like, I'm still here. It's still open. You can come back, you know? So she isn't accepting it. But she isn't accepting it because of him and because of this big worry about him. It's about her because he is the total opposite of her, which means this is someone who can take him out of her life and out of her world. So she just needs to feel less threatened by this new relationship and also accept that David is a grown man who knows what he's doing. She's still treating him like he's 35 going on 16.
That's actually so interesting because love, I don't even know if I can call it love, but like love expresses itself in like such interesting ways. So even though like we can look at that and like call it like maybe coddling or like just like being a control freak or trying to control like your child's life, like to my D, like that's love, you know, like that's how she shows love for us. And she's like, I see better for you. I want better for you. And this is not better. You know what I mean? And in her idea of what love is.
Yeah, but I also think it's about self-love, especially when I look at Ruva, because I feel like in terms of loving everyone around her, she's got that down to a T. But in terms of loving herself enough to also make sure that she's taken care of, she's getting that. And I think as the movie progresses, for me, I think she gets to a point where she's remembering to love herself more. Yeah. And also my only issue with my D is you don't have a man. You've turned your son into your man. Now he's your son. He's your best friend. He's your man. I know mothers like that.
I can't pay up front, but when I win the competition...
You need money.
I need people to take me seriously.
Like, let your son be a man on his own. But now that you've judged me as a mom, I want to find out from you, because Gloria also is living a whole other life that you didn't like. Like, she's not the mom you wanted. She's just the mom you got. So what was Ruva's way of navigating that dynamic?
I think masking a lot which probably then leads to I guess, you know, her being left out. She pretty much masked her feelings in an effort to protect her mothers. You can tell that somebody really does love you or want to love you. Their capacity is limited. They're limited in the way in which they can love you. And I think that Ruva was able to see that, you know? And so in so doing, she just accepted whatever love that she could get from her mother, even though that love was from like a very broken place. So she just accepted whatever she could get from her mother, and then she just accepted situations for what they are. And then in doing so, she was like suppressing and masking a lot of how she was feeling and a lot of how she deserved to be loved, which made it then very tough for her as well to love from an authentic place. You know, it's that thing where like just brokenness just brews brokenness, and then like you eventually get to a point where again you just spasm and you're like, I'm loved out, or you know, whatever. So yeah, no, she masked a lot. She must.
Do you feel like you're left out about your mom? Well, Ruva is left out about her mom because she's realizing her love for her mom cannot fix her mom. Like she's tried to love her mom into, you know what I mean? Where you think the love is the fix.
Sure, I actually think that it's Ruva all around. So like it's Ruva's theme, with every character, you know, in her life, because even with David as well, like I think again she also thinks that maybe if she loves him more, if she loves him harder, if she supports his lifestyle choices or whatever, you know, maybe one day he's going to, you know, I don't know, see that it's going to click in his mind that he has to make a change for Ruva's life, for both their lives. And then even with the mom as well, you know, where it's like she's hoping that if she just loves her mom hard enough, things are going to change. And they don't. They don't. What I love about the movie is that, like, you know, it shows these really deep, thought-provoking themes in a very like comedic way, you know? I think it's so funny how, and I feel like sometimes this actually happens in my life, and you're a comedian as well. So I assume that this is something that you experience, where everything is just so, like, everything is going into shambles. Like, everything is the circumstances themselves are horrible, but it's comic, like it's comic. You know, that it's so funny that like with you trying to control everything and force everything, the worst happens, and it's hilarious. And it's not hilarious for the people involved, but it's hilarious for the people who, you know, are watching it. When you look at it in hindsight, it's flipping hilarious. It's like, man, do you realize like your choices are funny? Like, it's funny that you're not seeing this.
I would say a red flag for me, it depends on what the relationship is, but I think a consistent, or a red flag that I think can apply consistently across the board is someone who refuses to take accountability for their actions, especially when they're hurtful.
Let's talk about a time where you've had to support the choices that you didn't approve of for someone that you cared for.
Man, I think everyone's had this. For me, when I went through that, it was just, you know, when somebody is making bad choices because they're not looking beyond that moment. So for me, it's when I feel like, listen, we're all going to be left to pick up the pieces. And so I can't just sit by and watch you make this choice. And then at some point I had to let it go. I had to go, listen, let them see what you are seeing in the future. Let them prove you wrong. In fact, let's hope they prove you wrong. But it's very hard because also you have to sit there ready to catch them at the same time. So you want to be happy for them and be supportive. But at every moment you're going, oh, I probably have to catch you now. And unfortunately, in this instance, I was right. But then again, love makes you want to help them land with their butt in butter. No, fortunately, I suppose, because then they had the fall. Unfortunate is for me, because then again, in over loving people, you end up trying to help them land with their butt in butter. So they land with their butt in butter. So they kind of started to experience the consequences, but you kind of gave them a soft landing. And when that thing repeated itself again, and I saw the pattern, that's when I had to step back and say, you know what, whichever way it goes, I'm not going to allow myself to get involved. And for me, that was my moment to pivot, where I went, don't be so invested in their choice, because it's about their life, not yours. So, Lena, can you just step back and let them do their thing? And it's still your choice. When they're going to land, learn to let them be, because also you enable people in a negative way when you don't let them just land. Let the person fall so they can learn what it feels like. They should feel the impact of the fall. Then they must figure out how they get up and dust themselves off. Then they come out a better person at the end. Not, I disapproved, waited for you to fall, and then I caught you as you fell, but I still wanted to tell you how. You see what I mean? And then they go back and they do it anyway, because they never really felt the full impact of their bad choices. And I have also experienced it where I didn't approve of somebody's choices, but down the line I realized it's good I stood back, because, oh my gosh, they were right.
What sparked that change, though? I'm just curious. So the realization that you have to let it go.
I think it's when I realized, man, it's draining me. Because now I'm no longer focused on my own life. I'm focused on this person's life and what's about to happen. And I'm so invested. I'm loved out. I'm overly invested in this thing. And at some point, my cousin actually said to me, do you know you're spending... We've had this conversation for a good 2 hours, and the person you're speaking about probably doesn't spend 15 minutes even thinking about this thing. And you are like letting it decide the temperature of your day. It's dictating your mood. And that was the point for me where I went, oh my gosh, this is so true. Beyond the fact that they don't get to, see the true impact of bad decisions, I am killing myself over this thing. And so I had to step back and realize that loving is letting go. I think we misread love as holding on. And when I look at loved out, that's the thing. Everybody's giving this love, this hold on love. And everyone's having to learn that no, love is not ownership. Love is being able to let a person know, making space for people. Like, I know it's like a theme term nowadays of I'm making space. But I'm learning that truly you should make space for people.
Sure. Yeah, no, I deeply resonate with that. I don't even think I'm going to get into my one because it literally is, obviously, I'm sure that the story itself is different, but like literally like the same sequence of events, like in terms of the theme, you know, in terms of like the takeaways. I think it's even in the simplest of ways. It's like, you know, sometimes I just have to support your dress choices also, you know?
Yes.
To support like you. When I always tell myself, if I can do it in those moments, I can do it in the big as well, because they survive. They come back, they get back home with that hairstyle and they weren't jumped, you know? They weren't jumped. Everything is fine. So I'm like, okay, so, you know, it's just, you know what I mean? So just let people be, and that's love. That's love. Yeah. I accept you for who you are. But my boundary is, my boundaries are there. You are not going to make me wear that shirt.
Like my son always likes to go, sounds like a you problem. So there are times that you do have to go, it's a me problem. It's a me problem. So while we're in this, you know, theme of pivoting, right? What's the moment that you had to pivot from something that you thought was meant for you? And was there any fear and grief of letting go?
I can say, because the one that comes to mind, it's not necessarily like something that I let go. Like, so with my career, right? I thought that like my life was going to be very linear, like literally from jump. Because I mean, like, you know, even as a kid, you're like, yeah, no, A and B and C are going to happen, but it's never going to be like starting with X and then going back to B, and then like there's an F in there, and then there's like a number in there, and then you're just like, you know. So that was a huge pivot moment, but it wasn't like a letting go moment in the sense that like I've let go. Like I still feel very called to, I mean, what I'm doing right now, right? Which is acting. But I guess I never thought that I would get into other career paths. At least not in the way that I'm in now. I never thought that I would ever like be in like a 9-to-5, which is not, it's not a 9-to-5 in the typical sense. It's still within my industry, but I never thought that I would do that. I never thought that I would, you know, I just never saw that happening. And I always thought that if I were to ever do that, it would mean that I'm like letting go of the dream and I'm just like, you know, like giving up and like now I'm that person, or, you know, like whatever. And that was a very tough thought, like to consider, like at some point. However, when it happened, where you could say it is somewhat of a pivot to the way that I thought that my life was going to pan out, it all seemed, I don't know, like seamless. Like it seemed like it was meant to be. I can't think of like a word, you know? But like, yeah, it just seemed like it felt right. And personally, I think that a lot of pivots, even though they can be difficult, it's going to sound very corny, but there's a peace about it that you feel like there's a level of fulfillment about it.
Yeah.
Where you're like, this may be like a difficult decision to make, but I have no doubt in my mind that there's something about it that just feels right. And then we'll see where like, you know, it'll go. And so far it's going good, you know, so far it's going good. And so I think with that, my biggest takeaway as well is to not be afraid of the pivot, like just not be afraid of the change, even though it seems daunting, which again, I assume is what had kept me stuck. You know, like she was afraid of the change. She was afraid of what would happen if she loved her mother less, if she started making decisions for herself. In fact, let me not even say loved her mother less, but just loved herself more and loved herself in the truest sense. You know, I think she was afraid that like everybody else was just going to, like, the world is going to fall apart. Everyone was just going to, you know, lose themselves. The equilibrium in the world was just gonna, tip. And no, if anything, everything just came back to balance. It just needed that shift. So yeah, that's for me.
Makes sense.
How about you?
Cool. I'll put it this way. I read a quote that said, God destroys your plans before they destroy you. And that was a really important thing for me to hear, because there are things that I would be convinced are for me and are mine, and no one can take them from me. And being devastated when, I watch somebody else, get into that space that I wanted to be in. And it forces you to live it, because you go, well, I can't just sit around now. I need to do the next thing, only to realize you're damn good at that thing. I've realized that the more you resist, slower you are to find that moment, even realize you need to, or that's the clearings. Like now the trampoline is taking you high enough, just go,
Sure. That's so deep.
Well, but now, what are you stuck on?
I'm so stuck on your first quote. Like I feel attacked. But again, I think it's just like, attacking our consciousness. Yeah, it's so deep. No, really, like, and I have a completely different idea now of like what it means to be attacked. Because I always, when people say things like that and I feel attacked, I'm like, no, you're not being attacked. Your conditioning or your social construct is being attacked. Like the one that you've just held on to and like settled on or whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's a big one. That's a very very big one.
These chats run deep. I'm even more inspired.
Yeah, guys, I learned so much about myself, not just in this episode, but in this movie, and we really hope that you guys can too. We actually want to learn a lot from you guys as well. So if you guys want to share just any, I guess, sort of advice about how you dealt with pivoting, about how you dealt with change in your life, or even maybe you may have found yourself in a space where you too were loved out and how you got to handle that. Maybe also share how this resonates with you, because it definitely resonates with both of us. Share in the comments, let us know. Share this with a friend who you definitely think will need this. I think everybody needs this in this world. And yeah, man, let's just keep the message of love spreading.
Yeah, and please show us love, okay? You must like, follow, subscribe, tell your neighbors to subscribe to our Loved Out AF socials, and catch Loved Out the movie. It's out in theaters, so thank you so much for tuning in. This has been the Loved Out AF podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Loved Out the movie, coming to you in theaters nationwide on the 26th of September. Like, subscribe, share at www.lovedoutaf.com or follow us on all social media at lovedoutaf.